Hey everyone, Thomas Lord here, your local realtor. If you've been wondering what's actually happening in the real estate market right now, not the headlines, not the hype, but the real numbers that matter for buyers and sellers, you're in the right place. In the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through the latest Florida and local market data, what's changing, where the opportunities are, and what it all means if you're thinking about buying, selling, or just keeping an eye on your home's value. Let's jump into the April market update.
All right, let's start with the big picture of the Florida housing market. Right now, we're seeing over 75,000 active listings, which means inventory is growing. New listings are up, pending sales are up, and homes sold jumped more than 30% from last month. Average days on market around 78 days, which tells us homes aren't flying off the shelf like they were a few years ago, and the average sales price sits around $466,000. So what does that mean in plain English? More homes to choose from, more activity in the market, and buyers and sellers finally starting to meet somewhere in the middle. Now let's zoom in a little bit and compare February to March. We saw more homes hit the market, more pending sales, and more closings. Sales volume jumped significantly from about 85 million to 112 million. Median prices are holding relatively steady around $409,000 range. So locally things are moving again, and that's a big shift compared to the slower pace we saw earlier this year. Looking deeper into the numbers, active listings are holding steady around 4,500 homes. But here's the key detail. New listings jumped significantly, which means sellers are coming back into the market. Pending sales increased and total sales volume jumped from 244 million to over 321 million. That tells us buyers are still out there, they're just being more selective. Now here's one of the most important slides for sellers. Homes that required price reductions took around 109 days to sell. Homes that were priced correctly from the beginning, about 25 days. That is a massive difference. So the takeaway here is simple. Price it right or prepare to sit on the market. All right, let's talk about inventory. Last year at this time, we had about 5 months of inventory. Now we're sitting around 4 months. So technically, we're still in what's considered a balanced market, but inventory is slowly tightening. Days on market also dropped slightly. Last year, homes were averaging about 7 months of supply, and now we're closer to 6 months. Again, this tells us the market is stabilizing. Across the country, inventory is shifting in different ways depending on the region. Some markets saw inventory jump dramatically while others barely changed. What's interesting is that Florida has seen one of the biggest increases in available homes compared to many other states. Here's something really interesting. When people search for homes in Osceola County, a huge percentage of the traffic actually comes from outside the state. We're seeing strong interest from people relocating to Florida as well as buyers from other parts of the country. Translation, people are still moving here. And speaking of people moving, look at this list of the fastest growing cities in the country. You'll see a lot of Florida cities on here: Ocala, Northport, Claremont, Kissimmee, and yes, St. Cloud made the list too. So if you live here, congratulations, people want to be your neighbors. Now let's talk about mortgage rates. About a year ago, rates were around 7.26%. Today, they're closer to 6.45%, and some buyers are even seeing rates near 5.99%, depending on the loan program. What does this mean for a buyer? It could save you $270 to $419 per month on a typical mortgage payment, and that makes a huge difference when deciding whether to buy. Another important trend, incomes are rising faster than home prices. For the first time in a while, wages are actually catching up to housing costs. That's helping bring more buyers back into the market. More sellers are also jumping back in. New listing counts are rising again, which is increasing the supply of homes available. And when supply increases, buyers get more negotiating power. Now, in most regions across the country, the number of new listings has grown compared to last year. That tells us many homeowners who were waiting on the sidelines are finally deciding to sell. At the same time, buyer activity is increasing. Pending sales, which measure how many homes are under contract, have been climbing. So while inventory is rising, buyers are stepping back into the market too. The National Association of Realtors points out something important. Some markets, especially in Florida and Texas, are seeing price declines in certain areas. Why? Because there's more new construction and more homes competing for buyers. In other words, buyers finally have choices again. Another trend, not every region is growing at the same speed. Some areas of the country are still seeing strong price growth, while others are leveling off or even dipping slightly. Real estate has always been local, and that's more true now than ever. And we'll finish with this. Over the past few years, pricing strategy has become more important than ever. Right now, roughly 17% of homes sell below list price, 17% sell right at list price, and some still sell above list. But the days of throwing any number on a house and getting 10 offers are mostly behind us. Today's market rewards smart pricing, strong marketing, and good negotiation. And that's exactly where having the right strategy makes all the difference.
All right, that's your April market update. The big takeaway, the market is shifting. There's more inventory, buyers have more options, and pricing strategy matters more than ever. But homes are still selling and people are still moving to Florida every single day. If you're thinking about buying, selling, or just want to know what your home might be worth in today's market, feel free to reach out. I'm Thomas Lord, your Central Florida Realtor, and I'll see you in the next update.